Hello, 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 everyone. I wanted to pop in. I can't stay on here very long. I went to jury selection this morning, and they didn't have jurors in yet. They were still going over the questionnaires. And so this afternoon, it was going to be hard for anyone to get in. They had one row for credentialed media that was going to be allowed in. If there was room, they may not be able to stay either. But they have 62 jurors coming in this afternoon for the questioning. So they would, they're going to be sitting in the gallery. Hey, Kentucky woman. Hello. Hey, Queen. Hi, Barbarian's wife. Good to see you guys. It was really awesome. Hey, Sicilian. When I first got there, I sat right in front of Nate, and he actually remembered meeting me. That was cool. And Justin Lum sat there. I spoke to them. And then I met Lauren afterwards. You're funny, sis. She was super sweet. It was awesome. I showed her a picture of the bags that I made. She said it gave her goosebumps. Which is really, so I'm going to go back up there because I kept the bags in my car, obviously. And, but I'm going to go back up there when court lets out. Mr. Snotty's going to take me and drop me off. Wait for them to get out of court, and then I can give them the bags, and we'll see what happens. But anyway, it was really cool. What happened? I know, right? The judge believes that they will have the jury by the end of today. I mean, there are 62 people to go through. I don't know about that. Yeah, they're in there now. Yeah, it's a much bigger courtroom. And I guess that is where they're going to hold the court now instead of the little one. This is a lot bigger, but to have all the jurors in there, you know. So one thing I noticed that she was doing today, so the judge would read from the questionnaire. People had, they would give hardships or whatever to tell why, they wouldn't be able to, to serve. Or they would say that they knew of the case or whatever, right? So the judge would say, I number so-and-so has this going on, and I think I'm good to let them go. And so the prosecution would say, he would ask the prosecution. She would say, I agree. And every single time, Lori would wait. She'd be writing. Every time she would wait. Like she just wouldn't just answer, I felt it was unintentional, just to be an ass. Because it's like this total silence. And then she would just finally be like, yeah, I agree, Your Honor, or whatever. There was one really funny, and I totally couldn't remember it until right now. Hey, Jerry. Hey, Mama. Oh wow, that's what. Oh wow, sis. I was really hoping to see some of the jurors in there. I was hoping I was going to be able to see that. I forgot my press pass though. That's the thing. Um, but yeah, so one person. Okay, this was kind of funny. I was just sitting there listening, and the judge started telling a story about, talking about one of the jurors, and he said, he goes, I was almost accosted by this person yesterday, coming up to the judge to tell him that he broke a tooth. And so he was going to try to get in, but because he was a potential juror. Um, but he was telling him all this story about getting into the dentist and stuff. It was so funny. Me and Justin Lum both just actually laughed out loud because it was just like, wow, that was quite a story. Can you imagine finding the judge and going up to him? That was a little comical. But did you guys all see the whole shit show from yesterday? She was really, really, I don't know what you call it. She was. She was such an ass. Could you believe all that she says, supposedly? You know, I love the way the judge was telling her too. I mean, the way she's like, well, you're just going to take her word for it. He's like, well, you're asking me to take your word for it. Your word for what you think might have happened. He's taking the word, not really the word. It was a response from her accusation. The prosecution gave a response to that. That's on a legal document. Um, and that's based on her knowledge of it. Lori's is what she thinks might have happened. And also, Nate said he hasn't interviewed any of the witnesses. Yeah, what ifs for sure. That's exactly right. What did he call it? Oh my God. Oh shit. He was like, that doesn't tell me they're relevant. I can't remember what he said. Right, right. Wasn't it just unreal? The shit she was saying, like, God, what I can't remember, but it was basically what if, right? He's like, that doesn't tell me any relevancy in this. Yeah, well, from the hearing yesterday, Kentucky woman, it's on YouTube, on Hidden True Crime. I think they played it. Definitely East Idaho News. Yeah, East Idaho News will have it for sure. Um, they do have it. That's how I watched it yesterday. It was on that or Fox 10 Phoenix. They had it. They actually were the ones yesterday with that. Yeah, it's a hearing. It was the hearing. The jury selection, Kentucky woman, is not televised or streamed anywhere. That's why I was really hoping to see some of the jurors and stuff today. But but the trial will be. The judge says they still plan on starting on Monday with opening statements. Hey, try me. I know. Right. And Nate's like, none of that is true. And you know, this is a thing. She has continued to complain about not being able to get things when the prosecution says all along, we have turned everything over to her. She has not even yet right now sent a subpoena to anybody. And the prosecution has not been able to interview any of her potential witnesses. Oh, here, I'll put a link in, okay? Hold on 1 second. Hold, please. Okay, let's watch some of it. Nate has a little one up. I'll put a link and then I'll play some of this. Hold on a second. Did you know what was funny? Nate said the other day that he said when he got here to town, he went and got his hair cut, went to get some snacks, do some things, because I didn't have my bag yet, right? But anyway, he said everybody he spoke to in the hotel, all over the place, that nobody had heard of the case. He said he only found one couple that had heard of it, and they were here visiting from Utah. She does. She does want everything. She just got so sassy and nasty. I'm like, that's really not a good look. I don't know why people think that it is sometimes. It's just not. Yeah. There were quite a few people that had said, or, he was reading a lot of people, but they still had 62 that he also talked to a woman who said when there were people that they said they can kind of tell when people are just trying to say they don't know because they want to be part of it. When they get that feeling like that, they will go and look at their social media and shit like that to see, Queen. Yeah, to see if they've talked about it at all or whatever. See, that's just exactly right. Right. Didn't you love the way the judge was telling her? I love him too, Queen. I do. When he was like, I'm not going to rehash this with you anymore. I don't know what to tell you. Right. You got it. Okay, good, good, good. We'll watch some of this. Yeah, it did. You're right. He's a looker, isn't he? He is. He looks just like you look. Yeah. He doesn't really have a lot of patience. I mean, he actually has a lot of patience, quite honestly, because I don't know. I seriously cannot stand her so bad that it's, oh. That's exactly right, Top Hat. Yep, exactly. Yep. Yeah, she was quite the ass, though, wasn't she? Wow. Right.
Spoken with has not been subpoenaed.
All right.
Your Honor, our subpoenas are with OPDS right now, and they should be being issued currently. The state talks about in their response, like, the state is claiming trial by ambush from the defense. Trial by ambush. How is the defense trial by ambush when they have interviewed every single one of these witnesses before in the last 5 years since this case started? They've interviewed every single person that has been on there. They have written, transcripted interviews and video interviews of all of these people. And so how they are relevant, these witnesses will testify if and when they are needed to add additional facts or fill in the blanks that the state will
Fill in the blanks. That was it. That was what I was trying to think of. Fill in the blanks. I love what he tells her here. The fuck is that? I can't with some people. Oh, I love it. Oh my God, I wish I could remember the whole story about the dentist today. That was some funny ass shit.
no doubt leave out in their case in chief, and they'll be called accordingly. I need them to lay perhaps foundations for evidence presented by the state. The same with Lonnie Dorkin. I need his testimony will be required if and when it's necessary to rebut digital information that the state will bring forward during trial. I feel like the state is trying to say, okay, if you want your speedy trial, guess what? We're not going to let you defend yourself. Guess what? You can't have any experts. And guess what else? You can't have any witnesses. You can't have anybody speak in your behalf. So good luck. Have a nice day.
All right. Well, that's why attorneys sometimes take a long time to prepare for a trial, because they need to give notice of what all the testimony their witnesses are going to give. They need their experts to prepare reports. That's why your prior attorneys and your current attorneys were asking for more time to prepare the case.
Right.
So you can't really have it both ways, that you want your speedy trial rights, but you don't want to give notice to the other side of what your evidence is.
I don't not want to give notice to the other side, with the limitations at the incarcerated state where I am, and the limitations with OPDS of getting Lonnie Dorkin late in the game that they did. I've done everything in my power as a defendant to prepare the state and to give over everything that I could do within my power, with the limitations that I am an incarcerated person at this maximum security prison jail.
So when you say...
And I shouldn't be able to represent myself because of that fact? That negates my constitutional right?
I didn't say that. All right. I said that sometimes there are reasons to not go forward to trial as fast as you want. All right. So when you say things like they're going to fill in the blank.
She is so angry. And you're right. It didn't just work. Just blah, blah, blah. In this incarcerated state I'm in. Guess what? Exactly. You're a murderer. Of course you. The fuck do you think? How do you think this works? She's so irritating. I swear. It's just a show. Right. Incarcerated state I'm in. What the fuck are you talking about? I know. I like that one too. Hey, Life with Mommy. Yeah, I liked that one. I don't know.
Blanks. That makes it really hard to assess what the relevant information is.
They have relevant information to a lot of factors that I got in the 404B information. For example, the life insurance. My father is a life insurance salesman. He worked with Charles on getting both life insurance policies, my $2 million policy and Charles' $1 million policy. He also tried to sell my insurance policy after Charles passed away. He also told me to go to call the insurance policy and said how to do that, how to call them when you're the beneficiary. I didn't know how to do any of those things. He has relevant information to that. My sister has relevant information to my brother, Alex Cox, and the whole situation of what happened on July 11th. These people have relevant information to the state's case, what they're accusing me of. There's very relevant information from a lot of these witnesses.
So what I'm struggling with is you just saying that it's relevant doesn't actually make it relevant. It may be relevant. I'm trying to find out the relevancy. What you said about your father being an insurance salesman and selling policies, that sounds relevant. It could be relevant to me. Who's your father? I don't know who your father is.
Barry Cox.
All right, Barry Cox. It sounds like even from what you're saying, though, you're not, depending on what the state produces at trial, you're not sure that these witnesses would have relevant information. It just depends, is what it sounds like.
Whatever they put up in their case in chief, am I not allowed to try to defend myself against that?
You're absolutely allowed. I'm just trying to figure out, I'm sort of a gatekeeper and I need to make sure witnesses have relevant information. And just like you have the right to interview all of the state's witnesses, excluding victims' rights, people that can deny having an interview, they have the right to interview all your witnesses prior to trial so they can have an idea of what those witnesses might say on the witness stand.
I understand that, Your Honor.
So
they also have already interviewed all of them.
Okay, see, that's not, oh my God, this is, I don't know how people keep their patience with shit like this. I really don't. I love whenever the judge mispronounces Summer Shiflett's name. I can't remember now what he says, but it's funny. Did you guys catch that yesterday?
I'm not talking about police interviews or interviews that may have been done years ago. The prosecutor has the right to interview any witness prior to them taking the stand, just as you do. So I'm not sure the best way to handle this other than maybe we should take it up as we progress through the case, but
Your Honor,
some of these people may or may not be even served.
Yeah, my concern is obviously I have attempted to reach these people. I've made my good faith effort. I've been told both by myself in attempting to contact them, as well as the defense investigator, that they've been unable to reach them. So it seems to not be following the rules of procedure or evidence to then bring up later on if they perhaps find these people at some point, then the state can try to at that point preclude them. When the state talks about a trial by ambush, it is in fact that. When the defense investigator themselves cannot find these people and are still looking for them in trial when they've had at least, we'll say,
why
4
is her
months
family not
to try to find them, I think that at this point, precluding them is proper.
Well, I would preclude anyone that doesn't submit to an interview with the state.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of want to punt this a little bit just because if there's people that don't end up getting served, don't end up showing up at court, they can't find, then we don't need to waste our time talking about whether or not those people have relevant information because they're not going to be here and they're not going to testify. So I'm putting the defendant on notice that if these witnesses aren't served, if they don't submit to interviews, they're going to be precluded. Even if they submit to interviews, I may have to make a determination whether their testimony is relevant or not. So again, we're going to, I think, have to cross that bridge when it comes. The state did say that they concede that some of the witnesses, Adam Cox Janice Cox, Summer Shiflett may have some minimally relevant information.
It's not there.
The rest of these, I think we're gonna have to take up maybe on a piecemeal basis, but I don't want it. It's not gonna be a situation where you're ready to call them in as a witness
Yeah.
the morning of, and then the state they haven't been presented to the state for an interview prior to that. So keep that in mind when coordinating
Right,
with
sure,
your
it is.
investigator. If he gets them served and they're actually going to be called at trial, they need to submit to an interview in advance of their testimony.
Your Honor, I understand that, and I am limited in what I can do. If I could call these people myself, they would answer my call probably, and I could have this discussion with them. But I'm going through the limitations that I have at the jail through my paralegal who's working overtime and my investigator who's working overtime to try to do everything to help me prepare for trial, as they have other clients as well that they have to do things in a timely manner for. So we are doing the best that we can.
Okay.
Right.
All right. If you have an attorney in Idaho that is working on an appeal, it appears that the information that was turned over by the jail was some pretty innocuous messages about trying to set up the legal line
I know.
to talk to you on a confidential line. And really, that's about it. So how does this arise to some sort of nefarious interception of things? Because it was put on a public chat system that the jail uses. You know it's not confidential.
Exactly. Don't blame the jail because you are in there. I know. Because I don't have, in this incarcerated state, I don't have the freedom to just come about, move about and stuff. Right. That's the whole meaning of it. Don't go killing everybody. Fucking psycho.
And you're told it's not confidential. And then even if I look at the substance of the messages, there's really nothing in the messages that would arise to some sort of confidential communication, just trying to set up a meeting and get the unrecorded legal line set up.
Who's saying that they're not confidential?
Well, the
Who's
jail,
telling me that they're not confidential?
your own attorney, it looks like. Here's a message. I see that they came and got you. I'm working on getting a confidential attorney line set up. The implication being that this message is not confidential. The next one, again, just checking in. Hope things are getting a little better for you. I'm still working on getting a legal line set up. The implication is that these are not confidential.
Okay, so then he received a letter from MCSO that said, your phone number is now confidential and arranged for privileged, confidential, client privilege communications. So
Phone calls.
From my no, it says this phone number is connected to that. So from my perspective, when I call someone on the tablet or when I text someone on the tablet, it goes to their phone number. So all the communications after the date of the exhibit that we put in our motion, when he got that letter from MCSO that now all of your things will be confidential. Now they will be confidential. So my understanding, and I'm the only one that can waive that privilege, right?
And I think after that, when his line was approved, there were no other disclosures of messages between you and him, correct?
No, there are.
You received other disclosures of intercepting messages between you and him?
So those go up to the 24th of January?
No, the only thing I saw was up to, I think, late December of 23.
I know.
Okay, so there are confidential things that are in our communications because I was not aware that after he received that there were not. So the prosecutor who obtained these her protocol would not be to stop and ask the court for some guidance on this, maybe do an in-camera review if she's subjecting herself to client privileged communications, instead of reading them and finding out and assessing for herself if there are anything in there that's confidential information between me and my appeals attorney. I have no other way to communicate with him when I'm in this incarcerated situation, because I was brought here to Arizona to deal with these charges. So it is a problem. It's a problem that she took them. It's a problem that she got them from MCSO. It's a problem that she read through them. It's a huge problem that she put some of them into her motion, and now his IP address is exposed to the public, which is a federal offense. There's a lot of things wrong with what has happened here.
Well, you reminded me that when his number was approved, he then sent messages from different IP addresses instead of that phone number that was privileged. So he's the one that disclosed or violated the confidential nature. I don't see that any of these, I'm going to call them inadvertently intercepted
Thank you, Queen.
messages between you and your appeal attorney. I don't see that they're being used in any way by the state.
Just the state reading them as a violation of the client-attorney privilege.
Well, not if they're not done through a privileged setup the way that they were supposed to, which he even acknowledged.
My understanding from my perspective was that that phone number was now privileged. The way it comes to me on the
Right.
tablet is I text that phone number, or I call that phone number.
Correct.
So,
If you're communicating through the phone number, but if he has it set up where the messages,
Right, Jeffrey. Actually, if she had any decency whatsoever, she would do that. You know, this is just to, pour salt on the wounds of everybody. For her son, you would think she would just do that because she's not getting out. All this is for nothing. This is all for her to show her ass because that's what she wants to do. Hey, Justice Jane, long time no see. She does. She loves doing this. You're absolutely right, Cecilian. She loves it. And she's also, so she's in there. She doesn't have, even this morning, jurors weren't in there yet, but she doesn't have shackles or anything on, but she has that belt. She absolutely, she loves this. This is what she wants to do. And she wants to say things that are hurtful. She's just extremely gross. I realize it looks like she's somehow highlighting her hair or something. I don't know exactly what she's doing, but it doesn't look good. Not in my opinion.
aren't being sent and received actually through the phone number, but through different IP addresses. The system doesn't know that they're privileged because they're not being sent and received through that privileged number.
But I didn't know that. There's no way for me to know that from where I am in my cell. There's no understanding for that.
Yes, he does, Justice Jane.
I assumed he was just getting them on his same phone that we were having client attorney privileged communications. And is the state giving these to Idaho? Do these get dispersed out? I would like to know that. Where are these going? They're getting them.
You know what? He just said they were not on a confidential line. Anybody can do anything with them. You're in jail. You're not at your house. And what is she doing with him? I don't know. Maybe she's wiping her ass with him. Who knows? It doesn't actually matter. Oh, she's so frustrating. He has such patience. I don't even know how he has it, because there's no way I could be involved in this kind of thing. Sit your ass down and shut your mouth. Piece of shit. My God. I wish I can remember what he called her. What he called. It's too funny.
From MCSO? Is there a subpoena to get these from MCSO? Is there a warrant to get these from MCSO? I didn't see anything that warrants them getting them from MCSO in the first place.
I could get him. Have you ever watched phone calls from jail?
And I think that the state's motion really covers the law under this. The defendant and her attorney were provided with information, whether or not she understood it or not. Her attorney understood that it was phone calls that were covered. So it's not just the defendant who is not complying with following the correct procedure to utilize the set up attorney-client privilege means to communicate. In this case, the state, obviously, I disclose those before I even look at them. I understand that they are statements by a defendant, and I believe that they are to be disclosed under Rule 15. And so before I even look at them, I send them to the defendant because I don't have the option of not providing them to her since they have been obtained. I think if you apply the case law in this, the defendant cannot meet her burden to show that there's any legal advice in these messages. There's no privilege in them. The messages are asking to set up times to call and to speak.
Are the three, I think it's 3 messages that you included in your response, are those all the messages?
No, Your Honor, there are other messages, and we do say that tablet messages between Ms. Daybell and Mr. Jerem do not end on December 28th. They continue.
And there is privileged information on them going forward. And the state is basically testifying for my attorney now. She just testified for my attorney that he understood that that these were not privileged communications. Where does she understand that where is she testifying for my attorney?
Well, I think because of the context of the messages say, I'm trying to schedule a time and I'm trying to set up a confidential line, meaning
that was
this
before.
Is not confidential.
That's right. He said it wasn't confidential before MCSO gave him a letter saying your phone number is now confidential. Your phone number now has.
Okay, I'm not going to keep rehashing this with you. The fact that he's using different IP addresses and not messaging through the actual phone number that's protected, I think is part of the problem. So if he's not using the program correctly, that's an issue you need to take up with your attorney.
How is he using it incorrectly?
I just told you. He's not messaging through the phone number. He's using different IP
How
addresses.
can you message other than the phone number? I don't understand that.
I don't understand that either, but if it was from the phone number and it's for his cell phone, for example, it would be the same IP address for each communication. There's like 4 or 5 IP addresses.
Where are the IP addresses coming from? They're given to you by the state?
They're right there listed on the messages.
I'm just saying, where are they obtaining those from?
From your attorney's messages to you?
From MCSO?
Yeah.
Did they get IP addresses for every single person of every single message communication on the text from MCSO?
Well, it's listed on the messages, so I assume so. It says Craig Durham, and then under it is the IP address from the device that's being used.
Okay, and then Ms. K is reading all of these messages and they're not privileged. Is that what you're coming to?
They're not privileged if you're not using the program or your attorney's not using the program correctly.
I know, right?
Okay, they're still not going to be allowed to use any of these messages. What I'm saying is they're inadvertent disclosure by MCSO because someone's not using the program correctly doesn't mean that they had bad faith in how they got them. They made
How is he using it incorrectly?
I don't know how else to explain it to you. I've told you 5 different times now. So he's not messaging with the phone number, he's messaging from different IP addresses.
Okay, can I ask if these messages are being disseminated anywhere to Idaho, to the prosecutors in Idaho? Because that's definitely affecting my appeal if that's the case.
I don't know.
Have not been sent to anyone other than the defendant, Your Honor.
All right.
She doesn't.
So there was some communications I find that were intercepted between Ms. Daybell and her attorney. The state's not to use those communications. They're not to disseminate those communications, but I do find that they weren't purposely sought out by the state.
I can't
And the
believe she's
dismissal isn't
arguing
the
this.
appropriate sanction if there is an appropriate sanction. It's order denying the motion to dismiss for violation of confidential communication. All right, then we have defendant's motion to dismiss for prosecutorial misconduct dated March 21st.
This is too much, all this, right? I know, Cecilian, it is. It's very frustrating.
Get that. And the state's response. The motion to dismiss for prosecutorial misconduct was filed on March 21. The response, I don't see a date on the response, but I do have the response. Did you get that response?
Have it?
Ms. Daybell, did you get that response?
I did, Your Honor.
All right. So your prior attorneys had, actually, let me back up. The state filed a motion back in, I think it was September of 2024, asking the court to preclude your defense team at the time from making public records requests through Gilbert and/or Chandler police departments. I denied the state's request, saying that the defense is free to do their investigation and make public records requests through appropriate means. So that's part of your complaint, that they didn't provide those public documents to the defense. That's sort of a civil issue, I guess, but let me hear your argument on that.
That isn't really the complaint itself.
That's your first paragraph.
I know, but the complaint is that,
I'd like to take each allegation and deal with them one at a time.
I understand that. My complaint is the interference by the state, Ms. K in particular, in stopping that and interfering with us trying to investigate and do our own investigation. It is a violation of the constitutional right and due process. And she did do it, and she did do it purposefully. And then after she did it, and we weren't allowed to have anything from either of the police departments, then she filed her motion. And then later, the day that I was Rule 11, that is the day after when you said that you denied that motion. So I don't know what she did or what she said to Chandler and Gilbert to stop them from giving us any information. But as soon as we put in a request, we were no information. You can't have anything. That's when I was trying to, the big video that we're trying to get in Gilbert, that's what I was trying to request. I tried to request that myself because I would have my investigator to go and explain what that was and why we didn't have it. And so we were precluded from doing all those things by the state. They should not be interfering with that. That's one of the reasons why everything has taken so long. We haven't been given things we've asked the state for. We haven't been given them. We tried to get them from Chandler and Gilbert. We can't get them from them. She's stopping us from getting from them. How are you supposed to put together a defense?
Be happy.
So when your prior defense counsel put in that request back in September, the state says that they obtained those information and gave it to your attorneys on October 1. So why are we waiting until March to address this if you had an issue with that?
I have had an issue with it the whole time. I've been
But why
taught-
didn't you file why didn't someone file a motion back in
Right.
after, December, November, January, February, saying they had an issue with this?
I did. These are in my motions to you for specific discovery. I discussed this exact problem.
Okay. Well, now you're saying it arises to prosecutorial misconduct.
It is.
This is the first I've been made aware of that, as far as I know, that the police department never honored the public records request. If they don't honor a public records request, there's a process to go through regarding that.
Which is what?
I'm not going to give you legal advice. All right. Your second allegation, the prosecutorial misconduct, we've already kind of dealt with, that she distributed the state distributed attorney-client privileged communication. We've discussed that. The next one is legal advice to defense witness Nate Eaton. We've somewhat discussed that, but I think their motion, the state says that they simply notified him that he would need to be served with a subpoena to have to appear in court. So how is that improper?
I love this.
It's taking her word for that's what happened. She's not under oath saying that that's what happened. Nate Eaton's not here to testify that that's what happened. They're the only two parties that are there to say that that is what happened. So that is my problem with it. I would like for one of them to get on the stand and say exactly what happened in that conversation and that she wasn't giving him legal advice. How do we know that she wasn't? It's a very curious situation that he called her and then he writes in his motion this statement that obviously comes from Ms. K. She seems to be a clear attempt by Ms. Daybell to use the rules of criminal procedure as a pretext simply to keep me out of the courtroom and interfere with my ability to report. We also don't know if he told her, don't come to the March 18th hearing because that's when they're going to serve you with your subpoena.
See, that's exactly right. You don't know. You don't fucking have any idea what they talked about. So annoying. How do you even try to go there with that? I don't know what they talked about, so I'm going to file something based on what I think they might have talked about. It does. It's got to be so frustrating. I cannot imagine. Yeah, I like the lemon lime ones, and I put extra lime juice in it usually. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, how does she even... God. So annoying.
So all these things come from there, and we don't know who's saying it, and you're just taking her word for it, like you took her word for, oh, there's only 6 emails and there's no other emails. You're just taking her word for it as an officer of the court, and I think that she should have to be sworn in.
Well, you want me to just take your word for he must have gotten these things from Ms. K, okay? Just because his motion says he thinks that you're noticing him as a witness to keep him out of the courtroom? I don't know why you take the jump to that is coming from Ms. K as opposed to his own volition. He also hired an attorney that said the same thing. Even if she had said you need to be served with a subpoena to have to show up in court, that is not an ethical violation.
Well, giving legal advice is an ethical violation. Is that correct?
Stating what the law is not an ethical violation. if she said, I don't think you should show up at court, even if you're subpoenaed or something like that, that could be an ethical violation, but we don't have that.
How do
All
we
right.
know we don't have that? That's my question. How do we know what went on in that conversation if it wasn't recorded? Aren't witness
You can interview
Interviews
him.
recorded?
You can interview
Exactly,
Mr.
you
Eden.
don't know.
Your investigator can interview Mr. Eden. So when and if you get that information from Mr. Eden that something nefarious happened in that conversation, bring it up then. But you're jumping to conclusions. You have the right to interview any witness, okay?
not a witness anymore because you just precluded him?
All right. You can interview him. You can have your investigator interview him.
So
That's-
even though he's not a noticed witness now, we can still interview him and try to find this information because we can't get it now? Is that what you're saying?
Sure. Have your investigator call him. Ask him about the conversation. At this time, I'm going to, based on just the pleadings, I'm denying the motion to dismiss for prosecutorial misconduct.
Something else she is, I swear. That was just wild. He does. I can't believe how patient he is with her because I'm so annoyed with her. I don't know how you don't just say, just shut up, shut up, shut up. You know, they obviously hear a lot of nonsense. But when you're talking about somebody that, you know, doesn't even have any education to this. Justice, I'm going to go, I'm going to try to go some days. I went this morning. I went to one hearing on the 11th. I'm going to try to go some days. I can't go every day. But, and I don't even think I want to go down there every day, but anyway, actually, but I'm going to go a couple of different days. Yeah, you need to come. I know that's just it, Top Hats. I understand people have that right, and I get it. But it's so frustrating when they do. It's so disrespectful to all the victims. To me, anytime I see somebody defend themselves, it always just ends up being so disrespectful. Just make a mockery of it. They make an absolute circus, a joke of the whole thing, you know? It's frustrating. It was not crowded. It's in a much larger courtroom than it was in before. Or than the hearings were. Then, well, this judge's actual courtroom. This is a different one. But there wasn't going to be enough room today because they were bringing in 62 potential jurors. And they were going to end up sitting in the gallery. So there wasn't a lot of people there, though. But, and the thing, well, the point, this really is, I mean, I do want justice for Charles very much so. I feel they're all horrible. You know, Justice Charles really frustrates me because he told them over and over what she was doing. He knew she was doing this, and he was begging them for help. That's very frustrating to me. I can't help but feel that, you know, had she not been able to get by with this, how maybe other people would have been saved. But yeah, I mean, to me, she should really just plead guilty. If for nobody other than Colby. I mean, she's got victims everywhere. It's so gross. But for them to have to keep reliving this, and especially this show that she's putting on. And this is what she wants, though. This is what she wants. Yes, I believe that. It makes me very upset. Especially, I live in the very town that he was killed in. And, you know, this is where we pay our taxes in here. And they just let her get by with it. Because this is what she does, though. She goes around flirting with people, acting like, you know, she's so damn cute. And I think it's worked a whole lot of her life. It's worked. She did. Oh, you know what? Why is that? What is that? I thought I had that worked out, Top Hats. Which one? What light is it? I'm going to turn it off. See, there's still a light, though. Look at that. What light is it? Oh, my God. It's that damn thing. Shit. All right. I kept thinking, what light is doing it? I forget. That one gets turned on accidentally sometimes. Yeah, it's this one right here. I got it now. Sorry. Yeah, it's not working now. The flirting's not working anymore. But you can even tell, you know, look, again, I say this all the time, but it's something that just irritates me to no end. When she's talking to the cops outside of her house right after they shot Charles, and she's all, hi, neighbors. I just want to hit her so bad. Shut up. Somebody just died, you stupid asshole. I cannot with that. I cannot. It is so gross. It is. It's just disgusting. Like, what the hell's funny here? What exactly do you find funny about any of this? And I don't know what in the hell it is she's... Just the way she's like, well, they've been interviewing these people for the last 5 years. Stop it. That's not what this is about. I mean, you just want to shake her. No, she's so used to manipulating situations and having everything run the way she wants it to run. Okay, you're not Mrs. Texas right now. You're not on Wheel of Fortune. You are incarcerated. Okay, you are a convicted murderer. So drop it. Not one person thinks that you are cute. Not one. If they do, I don't even want to know that person. She's going to have another trial right after this one. And she's going to show her ass again. That's all she wants. That is, all this is theater. Oh, she's already done that. She has already done that. Yes, for Brandon Boudreaux. Yep. She does. She does. Look how, remember, she was like, there's going to be people that just want to be part of this. Well, yeah, there are some weird people. Did you guys see that comment I got from that person about justice for Brian Kohlberger? He's innocent. I mean, there are some weird, sick people. But she is loving every minute. She absolutely is. Yep. Yeah, me too. When you had to bring me back here to Arizona, believe me, Arizona doesn't want you here. Make me sick. You notice that Colby has said a few times that he believes he has said, he might end up going down there. Doesn't think so. He doesn't plan to go to the trial. But he has said a couple of times that he thinks he might he'll probably go to sentencing. And I just love the way he says that, like it's a foregone conclusion. I mean, I think that it is for sure. How can the jurors listen to all the body cam video of Charles? And their timeline is all jacked up, you guys. That's the thing. If you remember that day, so she went there to pick up, he went there, he was here from out of town, and he went there to pick up JJ to take him to school. Well, after, what went on there, and he was shot and killed, she took Charles' phone with her. And she had it from then on. I think they let her have it for days. If I remember correctly, she had it for a while. Again, really? But so from that time that phone left that house, she went to Walgreens, she went to Burger King, before she took JJ to school. The idea, obviously, is that he didn't hand her his phone. But it was 40, I think, maybe 50 minutes before 911 was called. I think it is a suspicion. I think it's my suspicion for sure that during that time, he wasn't, Charles could have even been saved during that time. I don't know. But they didn't call 911 right away. There's a lot of things that should have had them question this bullshit before they killed everybody else. Right, Top Hats. Yeah, you know what? That's I wonder what the odds of that are. I'm going to look that up because that's true. I've certainly never seen it, and I've only seen nothing but a complete shit show. They did fell him. They did. Gilbert too. Gilbert and Chandler both did. He was trying very. I mean, he knew what was happening. He actually, he went and had his beneficiary change. Like, it wasn't like he just lost it a couple of days and got, overreacted or something. He was taking care of business because he knew. He probably knew or suspected that she had something to do with Joe Ryan's. I certainly do. you've got all this that's gone on, and somehow we still think that Joe Ryan and Alex Cox died of some kind of natural causes. No, I don't believe in coincidence. I don't believe in bullshit like that. Oh God, Jerry, I know. Tammy, and also I never like to say it. I mean, I don't think I ever have said it out loud, but Tylee, I don't know. I mean, right at your own home with people that you trust. It's like, if you find yourself in a scary situation, but when you're not in a scary situation, you're at home where you should be safe. Exactly right. Right. I always think, like, what were the last thoughts looking into the eyes of somebody that, I don't know. Yes, Kentucky woman. Yes. Yes. Yep. 100%. Oh, she's going to make a mockery of it. That's what she's going to do. I mean, just think about it. She's already showing us what she's up to. And it's only going to get worse because once there are the cameras in there, not everybody is watching the hearings and this and that. But once court TV, when everybody's down there, she's really going to lay it on thick. Just picture it, right? She's going to be up at the podium acting like she's an actual attorney. Oh my God. And if the sarcasm, you're right, he did. Yep, he did. But I can't go along with that. That was just some natural cause. I'm sorry, I can't do it. At 4:30. Yep. So I'm going to get off here. Yep. We're going to head back down to the courthouse. And so I can drop off the bags. It only took me, I think it only took me like 20 minutes to get, it might have taken me about 30 to get there this morning, but I got back home in about 20 minutes this afternoon or today. So anyway, I will be down there and hopefully I'll get some more pictures and stuff. And yeah, I'm planning to come back on tonight. I am planning to. Especially whatever news we get out of what happened today. Yes, it was good to see you also. Good to see all of you. So I will be back in a little bit. Thank you very much for everything. I'm not sure, Kentucky. I'm not sure when I'll even get back from down in from the courthouse in Phoenix. So I really don't know. But I'll try to schedule it with enough time. I can see you. Can you see us? I don't know what you're saying. All right. I'm going to go so I can get down there. All right. Thanks, guys. Love you. Bye.